one take. Now this week we are going to be focusing on the Trinamool Congress. Now it's very interesting that the parliament session began in the backdrop of a massive electoral blow to the Trinamool Congress in Tripura, where it was actually the main battle over there. But one thought that this is something which will not perhaps have an impact on the parliament session, possibly it may not, at least not in the role which the TMC is wanting to usurp for itself, which is the main and the only opposition party vis-a-vis the BJP. Now let's talk about two parliament sessions, the previous parliament session. What happened before that? Mamata Banerjee had come down to Delhi. She has sought an appointment with Sonia Gandhi. She met her for more than an hour. And of course also Rahul Gandhi, with whom she does not enjoy the best of the relations. But they came out, there was a photo opportunity, they were smiling at each other, and several Congress leaders were actually meeting Mamata Banerjee at her residence in the national capital. All was well. Congress decided we are not going to put up any candidate opposite Mamata Banerjee in the by-polls of Bhawanipur. There seems to be the coming together of the two people or two political parties like the TMC and the Congress, who were actually at one point of time good friends, but they had fallen apart, especially since Rahul Gandhi had decided the left would be a better ally in West Bengal than the TMC. All that seemed to have been forgotten. But all that seemed to have come back in the backdrop of the latest or the winter session. The winter session of Parliament has begun with a chill between the TMC and the Congress party. Let's focus on the TMC first. TMC refuses to be a part of that all-opposition party meeting called by Mallikarjun Kharge. A statement comes in from Derek O'Brien where he says that there is a difference. We are not an ally of the Congress party like say the Shiv Sena is in Maharashtra or the RJD and DMK. We are separate, so we don't need to be together. If we are seen to be coming together, it may be on issues, on matters which are common between the two of them or which may be by default. For example, as far as a legal guarantee for the MSP is concerned, compensation for the farmers is concerned, it's on that topic where the TMC and the Congress may be seen to be on the same page, but does not mean that they were actually having some kind of a meeting before taking this decision or taking this call. So that's one factor which we saw. Now, as far as the Congress party is concerned, they are smiling. They are saying, look at this attempt which has been made by the TMC to step out of Bengal, which is in Tripura, and look where they have gone. And this is the best example and evidence for the Trinamool Congress that you are largely a Bengal-based party. Any foray you made out of West Bengal is actually going to be meeting with disaster. As far as Goa is concerned, or Meghalaya, or Tripura, other states like Haryana where they're looking at, even Karnataka for all you know. That's the Congress's argument. The Congress is hopping mad. Because what happened this time round is when Mamata Banerjee came here, she met the Prime Minister, and when we asked her this question that will you be meeting Sonia Gandhi, she said there's no constitutional requirement that I'm supposed to meet Sonia Gandhi. That was a very curt, sarcastic way of pointing a finger at the Congress. Unlike previous times, this time round she did not even meet any of her good friends within the Congress party like say an Abhishek Manu Singhvi or an Anand Sharma. But what she does is, two leaders who are part of the Congress, one of course Kirti Azad, second Ashok Tawar, who may have fallen out but was at one point of time of the Congress party, both of them joined the TMC. What does it show? That the TMC wants to make inroads or set up a footprint into Bihar and into Haryana politics. Now these are the two states where the Congress party hopes to recover. In Haryana, it hopes it emerges as the only alternative to the BJP whenever the next elections takes place. And Bihar, to a certain extent, they have their good friend, the RJD, and they also hope that at some point of time, since the RJD did not perform too badly, the Congress party can also begin to make its presence felt in Bihar. And the TMC will actually be a vote cutter and therefore upset their plans. This has angered the Congress party even more. So if you go through a social media timeline of the Congress leaders, they've started to call the TMC a B team. They compared the TMC to like the Aam Aadmi party. Now what is common between the TMC and the AAP is that both of them are like street fighters party. They seize an opportunity, there's an issue which comes out on the ground, they don't waste any time in cashing in on this. They accuse the Congress party of being very laid back, which is true to a large extent because the Congress is like a little old style colonial party. They have this endless rounds of meeting over chai, over coffee, and then they decide, okay, this is what we need to do. Maybe we should wait for Rahul Gandhi to come back, address a press conference, by which time the show is over. And therefore, according to the Congress party, according to Trinamool Congress, the Congress is actually not much of an opposition. If you listen to Abhishek Banerjee, almost every second day, there was a comment which came in from him, and not by Abhishek Banerjee, even Mahua Moitro, when she took charge of Goa in a press conference, she said the difference between us and the Congress is that we are out there. We are out there in the streets. And what Abhishek Banerjee said is, we are not like the Congress party. We know how to take on the BJP. We fight them. We may lose, but we still keep the fight going. We don't go back into a shell. They give an example of Amethi, where Rahul Gandhi, after his loss, has gone back only barely once or twice, not even bothering to go on and cash in on the emotive content by saying that, okay, this has been my family bastion, my family has been associated with it. And therefore, according to Trinamool Congress, and this is what they tell in private to many of the other opposition political parties, that please don't depend on the Congress party for any kind of an opposition unity or taking on the BJP, because they are not much of an opposition. So what's the game plan of the TMC inside the parliament? Very simple. Emerge as the only opposition. Now, if you look at the last parliament session, they were very aggressive, whether it's on the Pegasus issue, walking out, throwing papers, as a result of which Dola Sen, for example, one of the MPs of the Trinamool Congress in Rajya Sabha, she's been suspended. She's been suspended in the previous session and also for the remaining of the winter session for bad and unruly behavior. They take that as a badge of honor, because their eye is on their vote bank, either back in West Bengal or in the states where they are wanting to make their presence felt. That we take on the powers that be, we are not scared, and therefore we are the ones who can actually be counted upon to take on the BJP and not the Congress party, which is, to use the words of a TMC MP, a bit of a wimp, a bit of a pattu party. Very strong words, something which the Congress party refuses to accept. Congress says, you know, we don't eat into other people's vote bank. We don't poach who we consider as friends or who we want to be friends with. How many of the TMC leaders are we poaching? How many of them are we actually reaching out to? Why is it that when Mamata Banerjee comes to Delhi, she decides not to meet Sonia Gandhi, she makes comments against the Congress party, where two people who were once associated with the Congress party become a part of the TMC. But the Trinamool Congress, I think, is going to flex its muscles even more so. It's not only vis-a-vis the Congress party, it's also actually taking on the BJP. If they want to increase the game plan in after Tripura and say Meghalaya, somewhat in Haryana, Karnataka or in Goa, they will also have to make a lot of loud noise. Now, there are two important bills which are coming up, the cryptocurrency and the data protection bill. Of these two, the more contentious is the data protection bill, on which the dissenting note in the parliamentary committee on this has been given, interestingly, by both the TMC and the Congress. Manish Tiwari of the Congress, Mahua Moitro, as well as Derek O'Brien, as far as Trinamool Congress is gone. Now, let us see on the floor of the House what really happens. Pretty much both of them are going to raise the objection. Both of them are going to sound as one, but they are not actually going to be one. As Derek O'Brien told me, that there are many issues on which we may seem to be together, but that doesn't mean that we've discussed it over chai and coffee. It is just by fluke, it's inadvertent that we happen to be together, which doesn't mean that the TMC and the Congress party can ever come together. Now, what are the odds in favor of the Trinamool Congress if it wants to emerge as a main opposition party? The Mamata Banerjee factor, the street fighter outlook of Mamata Banerjee, the fact that he had a massive win against the BJP in West Bengal, and they're never ever going to let the BJP forget this, nor will they allow the other opposition parties. Question TMC is raising is, has the Congress party been able to deliver? Why I'm always comparing the TMC to the Congress is simply for this, because the Congress is a national party and the one which has a national footprint vis-a-vis the BJP, which the TMC and other political parties don't have. So in private circles, when the TMC leaders meet up with other opposition parties, some from the Shiv Sena, some from the RJD or even from the DMK, this is what they say, all very well, the Congress may be your ally, but they cannot be seen as taking on the BJP. We have the sheer numbers, we have our ability. Look at our report card, we've done very well in a state election, which were very hot, would go against us. What has the Congress been able to deliver? That's one advantage the TMC has. Second advantage the TMC has in the Parliament, of course, is unlike the Congress, which has made many enemies, the TMC hasn't made that many enemies apart from the Congress party. They are friends with the Aam Aadmi party. Their interpersonal equations are something which they are working upon. Whenever Mamata Banerjee comes here, she makes it a point to meet either Arvind Kejriwal, she's reaching out to Sharad Pawar. The Congress has a bitter relationship or love-hate relationship with many other parties like the NCP at times and the Shiv Sena at times, or even the RJD of late. That is one advantage the TMC has. Doesn't have this kind of bitterness yet with these other opposition parties. Therefore, to make those backroom negotiations, to reach out to them and getting brownie points on the floor of the House, and therefore, to up their ante and to assert themselves and also to score brownie points becomes much, much easier for the TMC vis-a-vis the Congress party. Third, of course, the woman power. The woman factor, that Mamata Banerjee is the only chief minister who is a woman in the country, is something which she uses very effectively to strengthen her case. And she uses Abhishek Banerjee also very effectively. I remember when he became the general secretary of the party, what she did was she actually sent him to say, to Chennai to meet up with M.K. Stalin, to other states also, to reach out to all these opposition parties. It's a very well thought out strategy. A part of the Trinamool Congress's attempt to project itself as the only opposition or as the only alternative to the BJP at the national level and at the parliament level as well. So these are the couple of advantages which the TMC actually enjoys. And what I certainly pick up when I have my many interactions with TMC is that this is just the beginning. You wait and watch how we behave inside the parliament. We are going to raise people's issues, we are going to talk about price rise, we are going to be protesting, we are going to protest along with other political parties, and we consider the Congress party to be a baggage and a liability, which many other parties like sometimes the RJD or even the DMK at times also think. So therefore, why do we need to take the Congress party along with us? What they are doing inside parliament is just a dress rehearsal for what they are going to do at the national level, which is to take on the Congress party, to downsize the Congress party because the TMC can only grow at the cost of the Congress, and second, more importantly, to project itself as the only party which can offer an aggressive counter or a contender to the BJP. So the parliament will actually become stage one to what they're going to do as far as stage two, which is the national picture is concerned. Well, the picture abhi baki hai. It's a long winter session. I'm going to get you all those details from inside the parliament, but do give in your reactions and tell me whether you agree with me that the Trinamool Congress is now working at making itself the chief opposition party inside the parliament. But the more important question is, can they truly be so? Thank you so much for watching.